to open up the floor underneath the anchors. Now sure, their buck did die, but you could still get the hot spots with just rifles. It's possible, and it's the sort of thing that you need to have planned out ahead of time as a team. It's the sort of thing that these players should be capable of, and we have seen done by many teams in the past. So unfortunately, Vitality locking themselves into a, hey, let's rush up white stairs strategy after clearing out those roamers, no matter, even if it was just Pengu, it probably would have been a successful round for Penta. And all of that aside, the diffuser was down on Master Balcony, which is just, it's confusing as well, because the strategy is coming from downstairs towards B bomb site, and you've got your diffuser all the way over on the side of A bomb site from Master. I mean, what's the strat there?
In their defense, here's what I would imagine their strategy was. They knew Shate had eaten some bullets, so he had some damage that had been done to him. He was a little weak. They might not have known where he was. He was guarding the diffuser and Master. Okay, so that essentially would mean that it was a 3v1. Now, because of that, Pengu is at the top of white stairs, but you've got two members of Vitality who are full health. You feel if one of them sprints in, like Hibanu, who's a 3-speed, breathes in some of that gas and pushes Pengu, there's a Ying there behind to hopefully fight for a trade. That's going to leave just Shate alone. You saw Revan had started to rotate over to Big Window. Pengu read the situation very well. He moved up to Big Window, pressured the Ash, and while the smoke was lingering over top of white stairs, he was able to get back in position before Vitality had their bearings and knew to push. Leadoff kill is going to go to Voy as Pengu goes down, so a reward for his great play last round is an early death, just under a minute into round number 2.
I mean, all that aside, they did end up losing the round, and as enemy attempts to vault outside the west windows, he will be eliminated by Shate.
Panics with a rotate hole for Ela. Now we're seeing the Ela plays come out more likely. Fabian is completely disoriented from Ela, but the panics of Vitality. A bit of a panic himself as he was Candela'd, and that's a very quick kill for the Ying to be able to pull off. You've lost your Legion, as well as your Ela. Advantage in favor of Penta now. And we still have half of the round to go, and once again, you've got one roamer and 2 anchors left for Vitality just to hang.
You can see Eunice and Goga joining themselves into Meeting Hall. Fabian coming down from the main stairway in the lobby, and they're going to try and force out this hold in Meeting Hall. And I think they've actually done that successfully. Looks like Rise has fallen back, and all of the Avoy has gone all the way back to construction. So now they're going to start on that main lobby take. However, like you stated earlier, I believe, they have lost their Hibana, which means the drop-down will not be opened up. And they're going to have to do it bare bone just by pushing down the main staircase. It's going to be dangerous.
So a huge first pick for Vitality answered back, and now you're going to have to funnel. Funneling empowers a smoke and empowers any operator who has a C4, because not only can you stop the push dead in its tracks, but also potentially bring a couple bodies with you down. Now look, on the stairs, a conga line of Penta players as they are just waiting. There's all 4, every single member lined up, and you're going to see the Candelas go out, and I'm assuming it's going to be a smoke flash strat. Revan's going to exchange 1 smoke. Rise takes out Goga as they enter. That's 3-3, but Revan down inside of that cubbyhole. Voy on the flank, drops out of attic. He's going to push through meeting. One hatch is open. He'll drop inside a pill, and the Mira will see him, but Rise had his back to the diffuser. It'll go off quite well as Revan bleeding out inside of closet, hitting the 1/4 mark. Fabian sees the Jaeger go by, and oh no, they go for the revive. Fabian gets a double as Rise is able to finish off Fabian, but now it is 2v1 in favor of Penta. Jonas and Shate just watching, and Jonas sees the head of the Mira, cannot capitalize. Rise able to get back to safety. Shate just needs to wait as Jonas sits on the stairs. Rise peaks and doesn't last too long. The Finn from Penta just sits, the 2 Finns rather just sat and waited, and now Penta up 2-0.
Yeah, something that's not talked about very much is now Penta actually has 2 ex-ENCE players. Jonas played for ENCE a good long time ago, back in the earlier seasons, and now he's got his brother of Shate, well, not literal brother, but brother-in-arms, so to speak, of Shate on his team with him. So I imagine that's some good camaraderie there. Now, they are up 2 rounds here, very decisively, I would say, on Oregon. And it's going to be now a forced laundry defense here, as their only other options will be kitchen or tower, which is, on Oregon, not 2 bomb sites you want to be defending, that's for sure. Question is, how are they going to be defending this? Because we are having a Ying coming out from enemy on Vitality, no Glass, no Capitao, which I think is actually a little bit more important to note, and no Blitz from Vitality. They are going for a little bit more of a conventional old school setup. Penta will be castle barricading off the meeting hall. That's very interesting. It looks like they're going to focus on using Meeting Hall just for that rotation into Kitchen, which I understand. It makes sense, but that's going to put more pressure on that west side roam should you choose to employ it as a defensive team.
I'm going to imagine that the reason why you're bringing a Thermite is they're going to do a split push. Either they're going to use that Thermite to pressure inside of Meeting itself, or you're going to situate Thermite down by Construction and have him try to push in through Blue.
It looks like they have spawned over by Construction. Question is, are they going to use it? Are they going to actually push that? Because generally, I think for most people, attacking Construction is a less effective strategy than just going through the main lobby. However, since it's such a predictable thing in this meta, maybe this is the right call.
We actually don't know where the Thermite is right now. He didn't look like he was joining them in Construction, so he's now over by Construction, just by rear tower or backstage rather.
It's just it's a prep stage for attacking Construction. You got to take tower first so you can deal with those roamers. Speaking of which, Pengu is going to take out Void. And that is the Buck eliminated, which means no more soft destruction for Vitality. At least no more easy soft destruction, unless you really count Ash.
Pengu sitting under the stairs, a site that is commonly referred to as Harry Potter because of where his bedroom was located.
It's under the stairs.
Under the stairs. So Pengu playing inside of Harry Potter has been able to defang some of that push. Very, very aggressive. And you could see that Pengu was actually rotating over there before the round had even started.
Right.
And I'm not entirely certain if they thought that there was just going to be a push there. Fabian over top of that hatch. A double as Revan goes down to Jonas. And Rise, the Thermite that we mentioned before, up top, unable to do much with that castle strat. 3 kills for Fabian on the round, and now 3-0 at the moment for Penta. This is an outstanding start to our group stages, and they look absolutely unstoppable at the moment.
Fabian got a kill through a drone hole in meeting that round. You saw there was one of the players from Vitality attempting to deal with Fabian's position by peeking in through the drone hole. Very small angle, because there's a box next to that drone hole, I believe. And even so, Fabian's the one who come out on top. Very aggressive hold there from Penta as well. It almost looked like Pengu got caught off guard. It almost looked like he was trying to rotate maybe up to Meeting Hall, but he got caught on the staircase from the aggression, the early control from Vitality over towards Tower, and he just was like, okay, I'll stay here and fight you. And that sort of mentality is, I think, indicative of confidence, certainly, if nothing else.
I saw the mirror of Pengu start to move before the round had even, before Pep had even ended.
Yep.
And anticipating that push, and was just all the way over.
It looked like he might have been trying to get the Meeting Hall, though. I mean, just like to maybe set up something in Meeting Hall.
I mean, it could have been.
Either way, he was very blatant in the fact that he didn't care about the Vitality push. He was like, okay, I can handle this. When he got there, whether it was intentional or unintentional, is beside the point. He sat there and he took the fight, and he came out on top. And Fabian, right there, was his, it was his nail to hammer against inside of Meeting Hall. It was a great 1-2 punch from Penta. Vitality, on the other hand, unable to take control over Tower. That's disheartening.
I think more than anything, it was just the wrong site for them to push. Right now, they stacked a lot of their utility and they stacked a lot of their bodies of Penta in the rear part of Oregon rather than in the main lobby, and that because of that, if they just had maybe made 1 or 2 alterations and been able to put more pressure on the main lobby, that split push or that 2-pronged attack could have been the undoing of Penta.
Speaking of which, we do have a split push coming from Penta this round. Now, Void is on the tower staircase, which is going to be behind Shate. He's going to need to worry about that. It will have been called out since Void did destroy one of the drones, I believe, which is going to prompt Shate to say, all right, I don't want to deal with this crossfire. I'm just going to back off. And that's a very smart play there from Shate. Good call overall, which will give Penta still 5v5 mentality instead of putting them in an early disadvantage. I mean, you enter into a crossfire, you're 9 times out of 10 going to die, even if you take someone with you.
Maybe some diffuser juggling going on as Gogo will drop it, likely one coming by to pick it up. You saw one member of Vitality inside of that back tower, and it was Pengu who was up top. Could have spotted him. Goga inches his way up top of White Stairs. There's an Ella up there, and oh no, cooks a frag. It'll go off, but panics. Manages to lose just a hair as a huge C4 from Rise as Shate and Jonas go down, and they're all dead. Fabian and Pengu fall too, as Panics gets 3 as Ella. And oh my word, what an answer from Vitality. It is 3-1 still in favor of Penta, but that is as swift as they come.
And that was an amazing triple kill there, I believe, from Panics with the Ela. Good position at the top of those white stairs. More often than not, you don't see a West Side Roam work on a defense hold, but here it certainly did. Good job from Vitality, and they are still alive in this match. We might see them start to struggle back and try to get more rounds after that. That's got to give you a lot of confidence.
That was a great read by Vitality.
Absolutely
fantastic read to know where the push was coming from. Penta had no answer whatsoever. They looked a little listless. Bad timing by Goga. Now, I mean, you have the Ela playing at the top of the stairs. Here's the frag grenades start to get cooked, and at that point, you're a 3-speed with one of the best guns, if not the best gun in the game. What are you going to do? You're going to sit there and eat the grenade? No, you're going to push. And that's exactly what happened. He was able to take the fight at the top of the stairs, holding the frag grenade in his hand. Goga could not fight back, and I mean, you don't get kills like that are that easy when you've just got your prey sitting there completely unarmed.
It's important to remember that that was Team Vitality's first round win after 7 consecutive round wins for the first two maps from Penta, as well as their second ever round in the entire series. They only won 1 round on Border. So if they only win 1 here, I think a lot of people would have predicted a 10-2, if not a 10-0, and it's looking that way, even though that was definitely a very decisive round for Vitality. And it came down to an Ela and a C4. If you think about that in the context of Siege, for those of you not familiar, that is, while impressive, not the most decisive thing to say, oh, this was the team play that got that win. It was definitely the positioning, though. Great positioning for Panics, absolutely.
And keep in mind that they were, if I remember correctly, they were also attacking downstairs. That was a failed roam clear. That's all Penta. That was. Yeah. Penta lost in the roam clear, didn't even have a chance for the anchors to be able to do much on site. Nonetheless, you see how heavy the roam is right now for Penta. They are defending back downstairs. They are defending upstairs, rather.
But they are holding it downstairs.
But they are holding downstairs.
Yeah. So Vitality, they're going to be doing the same exact roam clear they employed last time. This time, though, they don't have a buck. And as Panics moves his way towards Showers, this time Fabian is actually ready for the push. He's put down, I think, 3 legions in that doorway. And as Ravon and Panics look to collapse onto him, we are actually going to have Panics get a long angle kill into Goga. Fabian will get the refrag, though. Good snag from him. Will he get the second? He will. Fabian doing great work with this Legion on this round. And Rise now the last roam clear inside of Cafeteria as his teammates are pushing elsewhere. He's going to move into the hallway. Fabian, he knows he's inside of this bathroom. Flashes go down, but will he win the fight? He will. Only 75 HP, though, left to show. And Shate challenging onto the window will get a kill. An amazing headshot there onto Hoy.
Oh, it is not often that you are able to see any defender be able to outpeak a glass, especially when that glass can hold that tight angle to the top of white stairs around the bomb, but Shate makes it work and makes it look pretty easy too. Now, Fabian had lost a lot of his health in that engagement inside of the bathroom downstairs.
Yep.
It's going to leave just Rise left, and he was able to soften up the 3rd member that was able to finally take him down, which was Panics, as Goga had lost his life earlier on trying to fight for the trade. Shate, 2 very important kills as he eliminates both the Ash, or he takes out the Glaz, and then, waiting for the push upstairs, takes out, I believe that was the Hibana. And now we are on match point.
Series point as well.
Series point. Keep in mind, the way that this works, as Matt Andrews said earlier on in the broadcast, Vitality would go into the loser's bracket. If they lost again, that's it, they're out. If Penta wins their next matchup, they are in. So that's basically what we are looking at right now. You need to win at least twice to go on.
Right, and you know, that's just how the group stage is going to be working out. Penta, though, looking like they're going to get their first win very early on here. A nice debut match for them, for not only themselves, but also the Invitational as a whole. Vitality, on the other hand, they are looking like they're struggling. Now, we will be having matches after this. In fact, on this channel, we are going to have 4 total matches today. On the second channel of twitch.tv/Ubisoft, they will also have 4 total matches. So plenty of Rainbow Six to be had here today. This is not the only thing we have to show.
And the best part is that you can watch both at the same time.
Both at the same time.
You just shrink your browser.
There's plenty of ways to do that.
You can always go back and rewatch the VODs. I do believe, however, for those that are going to go back and rewatch the VODs, I do believe Matt is going to be updating the audience in regards to the scores from the other channel. So, if you are watching this channel, you will know the outcomes of the Ubisoft channel matches as well. So I know that there are some people who might not want spoilers, so maybe just mute Matt for 30 seconds while he goes through it, close your eyes, and then bring back to his beautiful voice afterwards. But nonetheless, you will be updated. So if you don't want to watch the other one, which we'd recommend, you should watch both of them.
I definitely watch both.
You will definitely know, so we will be keeping you updated.
Absolutely. So Penta now setting themselves up here. They're going to be taking... Well, actually, they can go wherever at this point, and we're pretty early into this round, only 30 seconds. They're looking to clear out some roamers. Voy at the bottom of the white stairs playing a very aggressive angle.
And first kill is going to go to Voy. Jonas off the board, and the Valkyrie. Voy has played very well. I've been impressed with his positioning. I've been impressed with his game sense. He had a rocky start, of course, when he backed into the Valkyrie on Fountain and Border, but has looked quite good. You can hear the first time we're going to see a Dokkaebi, and I wonder if this is some greater strat, as now Fabian jumps in and he gets taken down. Pengu answers back, as that's a literal trade as Rise goes down. Now Goga jumps in, gets some health taken off by those bandit charges, but Revan is there to eliminate him as Pengu trades with Voy. Diffuser going down, it's just up to Revan and enemy as well as Panics.
The mirror window, though, in favor of the attack this time, and Pengu from the bomb going to eliminate enemy. A great headshot there. This mirror window is putting the attack in a great position in the post plant. Ravon and Panic's going to be hard-pressed to take this back as we see the Ela coming up from the white stairs. That's all going to fall to Pengu. Only half of the diffuser left. Vitality needs to push a little bit faster. Shate going to take out Ravon, and Pengu will finish off this match with an excellent headshot. They will be the first winners for the Invitational in the group stages.
So the very first team, unless something is going on with the other teams, right now the first team is going to be advancing is Pengu, or sorry, is Penta rather. Penta.
I've made that same mistake many times. It's the Ps, and as you can see, they are very happy to have pushed forward so decisively as well. That's got to instill a lot of confidence in future matches, with which they have many.
Right. And they await they will play the winner of Evil Geniuses and 1UP. I know a lot of people are licking their chops at a potential Penta 1UP match because former member KS, who won 2 championships with Penta, is now playing for the German org 1UP. I think a lot of people would like to see that too. But I mean, no matter who wins, we win, because either we have that grudge match, as I guess you could call it, or we have Evil Geniuses versus Penta, which I know was a matchup that a lot of people wanted in the Year 2 Season 3 finals in Brazil as well. So we win no matter what, and then the loser of Evil Genius versus 1UP will play against Vitality. So a 10-2 for Penta doesn't get much more definitive than that. Only 2 rounds for the French team of Vitality coming in off of the community vote. Penta will advance, and we'll see them again next tomorrow.
Absolutely, and it was a great match, that's for sure.
Yes.
Vitality made a lot of mistakes, Penta made a couple, but ultimately I think it went the way that most people expected.
Right. So I'm not certain if we're going to have some replays for you. We'll be passing off to Matt, I believe, first in just a moment, just to update you on the next matchup. Next on the docket is going to be Team Liquid versus Room Factory. Now, Liquid is one of the largest orgs to have stepped into the game over the last month or so, and one of the largest orgs that we have in Rainbow Six as well. They picked up the team that you knew a couple seasons ago, mostly as BRK. They had abandoned their org, or left their org rather. Org picked up a new roster, and the team that was called MOPA picked up Sexy Cake, and then now playing under Liquid. They play Room Factory, which finished first in the European Challenger League last season, and funny enough, they lost out on getting to Pro League in a matchup against Vitality, 4 Russians and 1 Swede versus the 5 Brazilians of Liquid, and that is going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. We'll see you guys in a bit with the replays.
So yeah, the 6th Invitational is well and truly underway, ladies and gentlemen, and Penta's 10-2 takedown of Team Vitality sees them progressing as our first team then in a winner's bracket game. So remember, tomorrow it's all winner's bracket and loser's bracket matches, and the winners of those winners brackets get a bye. On Thursday, they'll go straight through to Friday's live quarterfinals here in front of an amazing audience in Montreal. Team Vitality will need to come back from that loss in the losers bracket tomorrow. Meanwhile, over on our other game in Group A, which is Evil Geniuses against 1UP Esport, Evil Geniuses took the first map 6-4. They were 4-1 down to 1UP Esport, who turned up in here in Montreal and came out of the blocks with an incredible start. Nearly put EG down on that first map, but a 5-round turnaround from EG means the first map has gone 6-4 to them. So that's what's happening in Group A so far. If you want to see the rest of EG against 1UP Esport, you need to go over to our second stream, which is twitch.tv/Ubisoft. Coming up here, though, will be the first game of Group B. So let's go back to a bracket, this time a B1, and show you who's coming up for Group B. Team Liquid, invited team out of Latin America. XBRK, as Interrobang was telling you just now. Newdemers Mopa, semi-finalists from Pro League Season 2 this year. They are now Team Liquid. We are thrilled to have the amazing org with us here in Rainbow Six, and their first game of the 6th Invitational is against Room Factory, a qualifier team who fought their way up. We haven't seen them at any LAN before. They're Russian players. They are the first ever team of Russians to represent Russia, represent their country at the Rainbow Six live event. So we're thrilled to add Russia to our players worldwide. They got here through the open ladder. Team Liquid Factory will be here on the Rainbow Six stream. On twitch.tv/Ubisoft, we will see Rogue return to us. Of course, Era from last year, I know a big fan favorite from NA. They were invited, one of the teams Ubisoft invited to the 6th Invitational, and their first game will be against another team from last year's 6th Invitational, Mindfreak, here from APAC. Did a great job in qualifying for the 6th Invitational last year. Went out early in that at the quarterfinal stage. Let's see whether APAC can get a big win over NA there. That's going to be on twitch.tv/Ubisoft after the EG 1UP Esports game, which is currently running. So that's what's happening in Group B. We'll get on with those in just a few minutes. So either go watch EG versus 1UP or stay right here for Team Liquid against Room Factory in just a couple of minutes.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here at the Invitational yet again, and we are going to be doing a match of Team Liquid versus Room Factory. An exciting one to be sure. A lot are claiming this might be a bit closer than the one we saw just prior of Penta versus Vitality. I am joined here by Foxay for a limited time only, and my name is, of course, Michael Kickstar Stockley. Parker's taking a little bit of a break, but he'll be back for the next match. So, we have, again, Team Liquid versus Room Factory, and we'll be running through their rosters just to start us off here with Team Liquid.
You know, Team Liquid is one of those super strong teams. Big names, especially always being consistent throughout Brazil, Latin America Pro League. They've consistently been to the LANs. They've always competed well. They've never quite won, but you know,
they've been around for a long time. Previously known as MOPA, Team Liquid's got the likes of Nesk on it. They've got Sexy Cake. They've got Zig, one of the most popular celebrities in the Brazilian scene for Rainbow Six. You know, this is a team with a lot of punching power. And Room Factory, on the other hand, is a squad who you really don't expect to be, you know, in this event at all. They kind of came out of left field. Room Factory, of course, a mostly Russian team. They have one Swede on their roster with Red Groove, but for the most part, they're a sort of team that nobody was expecting to be here.
Yeah, they kind of they did really well throughout the open qualifiers. They went into closed qualifiers. They got to the finals, played a consistent match, did really well. I think they deserve to be here. They definitely showed that they're worth
They're worth being here.
Yeah,
they're definitely an excellent team. Every team we have at the Invitational for this event, of course, will be competing at the highest level possible. Beating out Patacalypsa was, I think, a little bit of an upset in those Invitational qualifiers. A lot of people were expecting those polls to make it all the way through, but it was a good job from Room Factory, and I expect them to have at least some hope against Team Liquid. Although you gotta expect it's going to be something similar to what we just saw from Penta Vitality to an extent. I'm thinking we're probably going to have a little bit more rounds at least for Room Factory, but it's a pretty heavy, experienced team that's been swinging for a long time with, I think, a reformed roster that makes them even stronger than they were in the past, with the addition, of course, of Sexy Cake and a couple others. And versus a team that just hasn't really, I think that for a lot of the players on Room Factory, this is their very first event.
Exactly. So pressure is definitely going to be on for them. Of course, you know, the Latin America team, everybody loves playing, watching Team Liquid play. I hope there's a lot more rounds than there was in the previous game.
Absolutely, me too.
So everyone can be showcased. I definitely want to see Room Factory bring what they've been preparing for and what they showed in the closed qualifiers. Hopefully they'll be able to show up, maybe get some rounds, maybe get a map, maybe get the win. Who knows? But
I mean, it's possible. I mean, we haven't seen Team Liquid show up very much. In the Invitational qualifiers, for those of you who don't remember, they did not win. They didn't get very far either. I think they lost in the quarterfinals or the semifinals of the Invitational qualifier playoffs, which caught a lot of people off guard. They were like, what's happening here? What's going on? And of course, you know, they did get the invite, the custom invite to the Invitational, so they got that wild card spot. They managed to make it here, just because. And I think going up against a team like Room Factory, who actually won their qualifiers, some people, even some of the Brazilians that I've talked to from other teams, are saying that this is definitely going to be a close match. They're thinking that despite Liquid's experience, their clear expertise and seeming advantage over Room Factory, who again, this is the very first LAN event for many of them, they might still have a little bit of a struggle.
Yeah, the pressure is definitely a thing, but Room Factory, again, like you said, they proved that they deserve to be here by beating out all the other competition for this spot.
Yeah.
But Team Liquid, always been a consistent team. They've always, you know, put up numbers. Like I said, they never had exactly enough to get a win, but they've always been really good.
Yeah, I know. Definitely a team. Both of them are looking pretty strong. So the question for me is, what meta are they going to employ when we actually get into the rosters? We'll talk about that later. What meta are they going to employ when they get onto the match? So we saw, for example, in Penta versus Vitality, we saw a little bit of an upset to what most were expecting. Definitely a lot of Ying, not a whole lot of Glaz. In fact, I don't think we saw any Glaz. Even on the first map for Penta Vitality, we didn't see, we saw, I think, one Ella total. Let's take a look at Liquid's roster, give you a quick rundown of who's up on there. Again, Team Liquid, a team previously known as MOPA. They've got the likes of Nest, Sexy Cake, Yuke, Zig, and Bullet.
Again, you know, teams. These are some consistent names that have always been, thrown out throughout all of the Latin America scene. As you saw in the clip, Zig has a beautiful new mustache to support his team. Honestly, they're so strong of a team. I'm excited to see what they kind of bring out here against this. I don't want to say nervous team, but it's definitely their first LAN. So
you're gonna have some jitters. Your first LAN jitters, it happens absolutely. I remember my first LAN; it was just the very same way. So that's Team Liquid, and again, a very strong contender for this invitational. The sort of people that you would expect to go all the way, and they are going to be up against Room Factory. Now, Room Factory, a Russian team primarily with one single Swedish player in Redgroove. And other than that, their comms mostly consist of Russian, and Redgroove just trying to get in as many Russian words as he can, I'm sure, in those comms. They are a team that beat out all other teams in the European Invitational playoffs to get their way here, so they put in the elbow grease to grind all the way up to this invitational, as opposed to their opponent, who got that wild card spot. So they are definitely the ones who managed to put the work in, and we expect to see from them, as a result, at least some competition against, despite the seemingly weak Team Liquid from the last time we saw them play in those qualifiers, we still expect them to, be a pretty dominant force in this match. So that's Room Factory again. And let's take a look at the players, see how ready they are for this match. They got to be pretty excited.
Yeah, correct. I mean, I think a big thing that was that's a little under visualized is that both teams have coaches, and that's something that, especially in the game, how it's just starting, not many teams have coaches, and usually the ones that do tend to benefit better than the ones without.
Well, obviously, coaches, I mean, at this point in the game, in previous seasons, way back in the day, it used to be the case there were no coaches. I mean, everyone just kind of went at it by themselves. It was the Wild West. And now we've gotten the likes of Shaz. I think Shaz was one of the first real, extremely efficient and effective coaches in Rainbow Six. He, of course, is the coach for Penta. And now at this point, we're starting to see a lot more coaches come in for other teams, like you said, for Room Factory and Team Liquid. Liquid, I would expect it. Room Factory, actually, I was kind of surprised when I saw them with the coach. But they are definitely coming swinging into this invitational, which, again, being a team that kind of came out of left field, Room Factory has competed in the past in Challenger League. I think they were in Year 2, Season 1, so that would be Season 4 that they did compete in Challenger League, but they didn't manage to make it into the Pro League for the next season. They've been around, but they haven't really done anything extravagant. We haven't seen them at any events. We haven't seen them make it all the way into the spotlight. So this is their very first time in that situation. Kind of reminds me a little bit of G-Bots. If you remember the old G-Bots team, a team in Europe who typically teetered around 3rd/4th in their region, but eventually they managed to make it into the finals, and I think they actually made it out of the first bracket. So we might see something similar here for Room Factory. It's important to remember that this is not the only chance for either of these teams. Both of them are capable of bringing it back if they lose this match, because it is a double elimination group stage.
Yeah, and definitely, like we were talking about the coaches, I definitely think Room Factory, maybe that's one of the reasons that they were able to succumb and overpass all the other teams in the qualifier. And Sensei being one of the best Latin America coaches, he's been throughout different teams. He was on previously BRK 2 seasons ago. He was on MOPA last season. Now he's with Liquid, which is the same team, different org. Yeah. But again, it's good to have a different mind and a different perspective, especially in a LAN event like this, when the players are super into their game, super serious, top of their level. It's good to have another calm, collective, cool voice behind, or just kind of like a powerhouse, screaming and yelling and getting the hype
bringing
on.
out the ruler.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at the bans for this match and see what maps we're going to be going to. Border, Consulate, and Oregon will be our 3 maps for the series. The question now is, what order will they be picked in? As you can see, Liquid banned out Clubhouse, Skyscraper, and Coastline, Room Factory, Chalet, Cafe, and Bank. I think the most telling ban right there for this whole series is Bank from Room Factory. You do not want to let Liquid get to Bank. It is definitely one of their favorite maps. And in a moment, we'll move on to the pick phase and see who decided to pick which map of these 3.
And Latin America always being known as kind of the scene to always have super aggressive, super high velocity playstyles. And like you said, you don't want to give them the opportunity to have so much mobility and movement. Oregon and Border, definitely 2 maps that are seen a lot throughout all of Pro League.
Oh, absolutely.
They're consistent maps. They've always done well. Consulate, though, is kind of like a smaller bank. It's one of those maps that there's potential for mobility. If a team like Room Factory, who, you know, they have the nerves on, they aren't paying close attention to some of the rotations. A team like Liquid would be able to kind of take advantage of that and
I mean, it's entirely possible. It's definitely a very dynamic map. Let's take a look at the ban phase and see which maps got picked by who in just a moment. Before we get there, though, we do have a little bit of, I think, theory crafting to go over with Team Liquid versus Room Factory. I'm curious your thoughts. How close do you think this is going to be, just in general? I don't want an outcome result, but how close do you think this match is going to be? Do you think it's going to be like the Penta Vitality match that we just saw, or do you think it's going to be a little bit more neck and neck?
Well, I'd hope it's not like the previous match we watched. I mean, of course, it's great for Penta to have put up those numbers and show that they're still a dominant team throughout the seasons, and especially with their new pickup. But now for Room Factory and Liquid, I'm hoping to see maybe Room Factory show a little more, you know, pizzazz and a little more style in their play and kind of show that they're a team worth being looked at. But, you know, I got to give it to Latin America. I hope that Liquid can still come through, follow through for their region. I definitely think they need a little loving. This
I mean,
tournament.
you know, yeah, we've had a lot of Latin American teams, specifically Brazilian teams, competing in Rainbow Six international events for a while now, and they have yet to win one. So this Invitational, definitely, I think the event that they're trying to bring all the stopping power they possibly can. We have 3 great Latin American teams competing at this event that definitely look in a position to win it outright in Black Dragons, Team Liquid, and FaZe Clan. But now in Team Liquid versus Room Factory, it's going to be Team Liquid picking Oregon, Room Factory picking Consulate, and our decider will be Border. To somewhat of my surprise, Border as the decider.
I was thinking maybe Consulate would be a pick for Team Liquid, but again, they're always consistent maps, and sometimes you kind of get into the groove of always seeing similar things, similar playstyles. So hopefully one of these teams is able to bring out something new. Again, Latin America super aggressive. Maybe they get a couple, you know, group runouts, a couple picks to get like their advantage aside from Room Factory. Room Factory being a European team, again, I feel like Europe has a little more in-depth mindset and playstyle on strategies. But again,
I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, Europe's been in the scene for a little bit longer, the international scene, that is, specifically. And while Room Factory is a pretty new team, they are a European team. You know, you got to have that continental pride to an extent. But I think that given the experience of Liquid, it's not really going to matter that much. I mean, when you're talking about the strategy being employed, Liquid's been at many of these lands. They know what the other regions do. They've figured out how to deal with that, and I don't think they're going to have too much trouble dealing with it from the likes of Room Factory. But I expect it. I'm hoping that it's going to be a lot closer than the Penta Vitality match. That's for sure. Room Factory definitely have a good chance of bringing a fight here. I know a couple of these players. I've actually met them personally, and you know, they seem very confident for this event. Definitely a lot more so than you would expect, given how much of a dark horse they are here at this event.
Exactly. They're kind of the underdog of underdogs. I mean, of course, you want to see them always do well. Team Liquid, though, something that I like about their team and all the Latin America teams is kind of, it's all like a big family. They all kind of, they help each other out. I know Team Liquid, they're very confident in their own play style. They go over every single one of their scrims. So, I mean, I'm not too worried about them going up against Room Factory unless Room Factory has things that have never been seen before.
It's possible. I mean, most of the teams are likely going to be bringing newer things, stuff we haven't actually seen before. So apparently the pick order was incorrect. The first map will actually be Consulate, which means I believe that was Liquid, which you alluded to. You thought that would be what they would pick, and they have indeed picked Consulate. So that'll be our first map for the series. I think it'll still be, what was it, Oregon for the second and then Border for the third?
Yeah, correct. Border decider.
That'll be, I think, still in the same order. Apart from that, though, we will be starting on Consulate, which, you know, is the least played of the 3 maps, but within this current meta, it's definitely just as liked and favored as Oregon and Border. I think any team should be comfortable going to such a map. It's extremely dynamic. It's more dynamic than Oregon, or maybe on the same level as Border as a map, but it's the sort of thing that you can bring many variations of strategy to on any of the bomb sites, whether attacking or defending, and I think that's one thing people really love about Consulate.
I'm very intrigued to see. I mean, I did assume that it would be Consulate. I'm very intrigued to see if that they kind of, especially in this meta, they give up the bottom basement bomb site and kind of generalize towards the middle and to the top floor, especially with the just for this meta. But you know, teams are super confident. Sometimes you know you don't want to switch anything up too close to land. Of course, you want to come with new things to be prepared. But of course, I mean, I think it's going to come down to a big play of individual play.
I think you're absolutely right, and I agree with your assessment. It's likely we won't see that basement, and the reason is because, of course, there's that Yin Glass meta that is, I think, most effective on something like a consulate basement hold, which, you know, you open up the garage, smokes and glass outside, I mean, just forget about it, the round's over. Exactly. So the only thing, of course, you have to counter that is the C4 gas canisters and an echo drone, and it just gets really difficult. We should be getting into the match soon, just a bit, but we're still waiting on everybody to filter on in. Now, Team Liquid, they are, I think, going to have a little bit of an edge here on this first map. This is definitely, of course, it was their pick. They did manage to get it through the ban phase, and I think it's not quite a bank for their squad, but it's definitely something they're going to be comfortable with, and I expect it to be something that Room Factory will struggle on a little bit.
I know. I think, personally, Liquid's experience in the game, their consistency, I definitely think that they are going to be able to kind of potentially overwhelm on this certain map, but Room Factory could always have the potential of coming back. You know, you never know, especially with a new team. There's not much to watch. There's not much to study.
I mean, when we looked at their VODs from the Invitational qualifiers, which is about all we really have, we don't have anything stemming too far back. They definitely looked like a very strategic team, but they also had a lot of spunk and a bite to them. You know, not the sort of thing, not like Supremacy. Like with Supremacy, what we see often is super strategic, super, you know, typical European mentality of like, or not typical, but like emphasize European mentality of the slower, more methodical strategy. And I think with Room Factory, they're a little bit more aggressive. They tend to go for those pushes when the opportunities present themselves. And I think that's the sort of aggression that's really necessary at this level. If they go docile and simply wait, whether on defense or attack, it doesn't matter. Against Team Liquid, they're going to find themselves in a really tricky situation.
But I think Room Factory will have, like you said, that bite to bring to them. Again, strategic team, there's so much you can do on console, especially with the top floor, bottom floor, all of the floors, there's so much potential, and it hasn't been fully explored yet. There was kind of like the first meta of console where you guys kind of created on Orbit.
Well, that's a long time ago.
Yeah, in the middle floor where, you know, that was kind of game-breaking. But there wasn't too much to explore. I definitely think there's room.
You know, it's also back then the smokes weren't that good, and you could toss a C4 easily from both of the drop downs. Now it's the C4 arcs have definitely changed a lot. They're a lot slower. They're a lot heavier. You have to use momentum now to get it far enough. I mean, and the smokes are to the point which you have way more visual clutter, so you can't really see when that push is coming from a defensive side. I mean, there's so many other things. That was a long time ago, but yeah, I think it can come back.
Just to use the idea, there's so much you can do. I've yet to see teams experience and explore the full map, but I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting to see. Yeah, especially with like a team that doesn't have that much to kind of go based off of.
My question is really, will we be seeing, like you said, no defense of the basement, or will it simply be the top two bomb and will it simply be the top two bomb sites, or will it be typical consulate from the past, where we see the top floor and we see the bottom floor with no middle site to speak of? Something to reference is, and it's important to remember, is that consulate's one of the very few maps where every one of the bomb sites is perfectly viable. It's in line with something like Coastline. Coastline is a map where every single one of the bomb sites is absolutely viable. Obviously there's some preferred ones for each team, but these are maps that are kind of 1 in 100 really with Rainbow Six. There aren't very many maps where you can go anywhere you want. There are certain maps like Oregon that we've seen quite a lot of, or Border, where there's 1 or 2 bomb sites that are just indefensible. No matter what strat you're employing, it's really tricky to make it work. I mean, we've seen them happen. Every bomb site, I think, on every map has probably got 1 or 2 successful holds in Pro League, but it's the sort of thing that comes down to luck and misplay from the other team or inexperience on attacking that bomb site, which does happen. So on Consulate, I expect we'll probably see some lobby defense at least 1 or 2 rounds. On top floor, we're probably going to see that be the dominant bomb site. On bottom floor, very little. We're going to be throwing to a quick break while we get everything sorted out here. But appreciate your patience, and we'll see you in a bit. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, with the 6th Invitational. We are going to be going into Team Liquid versus Room Factory. Just right off the bat here, thank you so much for waiting. It is going to be Consulate for the first map in this series. Definitely going to be a close one, I think. Favoring Liquid, seemingly, definitely, obviously, because it's their pick, but also partially because it's going to be a very dynamic map, which will favor, I think, overall the Latin American playstyle in Liquid.
Honestly, especially the experience, it's just one of those things where even if you don't feel nervous, you're being taken out of a completely different setting. You're being put into a new place rather than your own home where you're comfortable. There's cameras on you, people watching. It's going to be one of those things where, unless you're used to it, it definitely has some effect on you, even if you don't feel it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we should be getting into the match soon. So again, it will be Consulate. As soon as we get the map flight ready, we'll go ahead and jump into that. Now, the big question, we were talking about this earlier, is what bomb sites are going to be defended from these teams? Because of the so dominant Yinglas meta, will the basement be actually a practical bomb site, or will it be simply ignored? And what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, honestly, from watching Latin America, and especially Liquid themselves, they enjoy the glass, you know, using glass, utilizing smokes, especially Ying. They have kind of a good synergy between their between the two. Especially on this map where Glaz Ying meta is kind of used a lot on the basement. I personally think that they're going to try and opt and enjoy when Room Factory doesn't go in the basement. Hopefully Room Factory did their research, kind of switch it up. But again, like the other sites, you can still use the same meta. Upstairs, mid-floor, it does nothing.
And we're going to be loading into the map in just a second. Thanks so much for sticking with us. It will be Consulate, the first map of this series. The second map, of course, will be Oregon. And then finally, Border for the Decider, if I recall correctly, and if it was correct when we saw it. So,
good lucks and have funs are going to be coming out from all the teams, you know, especially in an environment where...
Gotta be respectful.
Yep, super close to each other. I love environments like this for players to kind of meet themselves, especially new teams like Room Factory who haven't been able to meet all the teams that have been here before. It's kind of a good experience to put a face to the name, pretty much.
Oh, it's absolutely. I think a lot of this, the underlying great thing about this event, or any Siege events really, is that you get to meet your friends. You get to meet your teammates, you get to meet everyone involved in Rainbow Six Siege, and you get to put a face to the name, and that's one of the greatest experience of the Invitational, and this being the biggest, you know, Rainbow Six event ever, really. It's got to be really impactful on not only how these guys play, but how they conduct themselves as people at the events, and you're definitely dealing with someone completely different to what you experience online. Now, we are seeing a basement defense, so right off the bat, proving us both wrong, Liquid is going to be holding downstairs. Now, they, of course, are the team that prefer to use the Glaz Ying meta, and as you can see on Room Factory's side, there is neither a Glaz nor a Ying. Liquid calling for a remake and Zig disconnecting, so we will likely have exactly that, a remake here on Consulate, but I believe because the basement was selected by Team Liquid for their first defensive round, it will be locked in. When we come back with these two teams, probably going to be going downstairs as well. So we can talk about a little bit about the intricate meta that has to do with that bottom bomb site and the fact that we didn't see Ying or Glaz on the attack.
Exactly, but definitely they have to go back. Something that I saw that Liquid doing, yes, they did pick the bottom floor, but again, like that aggressive playstyle that they have, they picked the Vigil, and they were setting up to kind of reinforce bathroom. And I know a lot of teams, especially in North America and Europe, they have been kind of playing around with maybe potentially holding bathroom, having a mirror in there, kind of potentially stopping, taking front lobby and piano. But there hasn't been any kind of Vigil play that I've seen much of.
Oh, we saw some Vigil in the previous matchup. Penta versus Vitality.
For sure, but I mean,
there was definitely some Vigil.
I mean, specifically on this kind of setup, there's that. So you could definitely use Vigil kind of in the piano room, and it's a good kind of switch off based off of the Mira, and because you're not expecting Vigil to just be standing in the middle of piano or in main lobby, so you can go for those aggressive plays when they kind of had an idea of where you're going to be holding.
I mean, it's entirely possible. Me personally, I'm expecting it to probably be the sort of situation where they do the bathroom setup, they try and hold bathroom and piano as a point of fact. That's just like they're one of their anchor positions until they fall back through the bathroom drop down when they get pressured too heavily. And maybe a Vigil above, all the way up in CEO, opening up those drop downs, maybe some angles with his impacts through the floor. I mean, some of you remember about Consulate, most of these floors are destructible, fully destructible. So there's a lot of visual cues that you can get with those angles. Probably like in Projector, go all the way up in Projector structure, which is the room above main lobby, and that can aid your roam significantly if you open up a little hole there towards the front door to prevent aggression from the attackers into, again, the main lobby. So I'm thinking probably Vigil upstairs, and then we have definitely a hold within bathroom and piano to try and delay the push as much as possible, which... Again, now we have to tie this into the no Ying, no glass situation that we had from Room Factory. What you would expect to happen is when a team sees that, they see, okay, there's a double layered roam going on inside of the building. Maybe let's just not deal with that. So they would opt to go towards the main garage and open that up and lay down some smokes and plants. But wait, they don't have a Ying or a glass, which is just, you know, that's your typical push in through the garage. So that's definitely gonna hamper them quite a lot.
Yeah, that's their way in pretty much, especially with the amount of mobility that, like you were saying, with the hatches open, especially them, you know, doing the default hold of their holding bathroom. I think that Room Factory is going to have to kind of prompt to take the rest of the floor. And if they do play it well, they are going to be able to shut down kind of the roam potential that Liquid have kind of set up. You know, if they do the standard admin take from top down, that would be kind of a basic way to start. I just don't think that they can just push through garage. They were investing a lot of manpower upstairs, so, you know, maybe like a quick run through. But honestly, I don't see Room Factory making a play like that.
No, absolutely not. I think if they're going to start with a take to go from top to bottom, I mean, we've talked about this before, it's the sort of thing that takes a long time. And going up against a Vigil, he is the most proficient operator at delaying that roam upstairs. Especially, I think on Consulate especially, he's going to have a great time of that. You know, you don't have to worry about the drones. If anything, you just have to worry about the players. And so I think a lot of that round is probably going to come down to how proficiently Room Factory can clear out the top floor, or whether or not they choose to ignore it, hopefully, and go for that garage push. Thing is, again, both of those are going to be tricky because of what they're up against and what they lack on their roster.
Like you said, they don't have the Ying glass, so it could go both ways. Either they knew what they kind of have an idea of what they want to do and how they're going to take it, like roam clear, and they have kind of the, you know, strat down in their mind, or it was just a counterplay that they weren't anticipating them to go basement. They kind of thought they would start with upstairs. A lot of teams usually try to go on the 2 different floors, so teams kind of are forced to pick Thermite, Hibana to potentially open up that garage. So they already kind of waste, not really waste an operator, but if you're attacking top floor and mid floor, you don't have a huge use for Thermite or Hibana. So maybe it was kind of, you know, like a mental game. But honestly, it could go both ways.
Yeah, no, I think it's safe to say that Room Factory was expecting a top floor defense. That's the most in-meta bomb site for the majority of teams in Rainbow right now on Consulate is, let's go upstairs. That way we don't have to worry about the smokes coming in through the garage, and we can just do a nice and simple hold. I think that that's what Liquid was counting on too. They were thinking that, okay, Room Factory is going to expect the top floor, let's go downstairs. And they got the right operator selection, which again will probably carry through when we actually go live again. We are waiting for one of the players to get back into the lobby. So thank you so much for your patience, guys. In the meantime, we do have 2 more maps that will be coming in this series. The second, of course, will be Oregon. So when we move on to Oregon, what do you expect to be happening there, just in the basic strat level for the basement and the the top floor defense?
Again, Oregon, one of those maps where Latin America is always kind of adapting. They showed a lot of love towards the kids bomb site. They added some new reinforced walls. They kind of they invented a lot of the strats by putting reinforcements on different walls and kids holding different places, kind of messing around with the mirrors. And I think they have a big reason. They are a big reason on why Oregon is played like it is today. So they definitely have the experience for it. Room Factory, though being a team that is kind of more strategic, Oregon is a map that, you know, relies on strategy, but there's definitely a lot of individual play, and especially with how we kind of saw them, how Latin America is so set up and knows the map by heart. I feel like it's going to come down to a lot of kind of, they'll have the strats down, the angle set, they'll have everything set up, but one split play by kind of an aggressive Liquid player, and it'll just all fall.
Absolutely. Quick update for all of you, and spoilers, if you want to watch the VOD later for the other stream and catch all the matches yourself, just wait 1 second, go ahead and mute for just a moment. For those of you who don't really mind, the other stream is showing that EG and 1UP are 1-1 in map score. So that will be going to the third map. I think that's a lot, not what a lot of people were expecting. Definitely the sort of match that it seems slanted in EG's favor, but going to that third map, who do you think, just since we're here, since we're talking about it, who do you think is going to take that one?
I mean, honestly, I was watching a bit before. 1UP brought kind of an aggressive play style. They had a ton of new strats that haven't really been seen before. Honestly, I'm not going to say too much because I don't want to spoil the game for anybody who'd want to watch it, watch the VOD back. But it was definitely kind of an even game. I definitely think EG is, you know, kind of getting into the groove of it. They spent so much time in their previous boot camp. They spent previous time in the boot camp, and since they got here, they kind of are trying to get into the groove.
They've been looking pretty strong. But we have Room Factory and Liquid here in this match, and hopefully soon we will be actually getting into just that match. But Room Factory, again, an all-Russian team. They have been having some sound issues here in this match. They have one Swedish player, again, in Red Groove. Apart from that, they're a little bit out of their element here. I must imagine it's a long flight from Russia all the way over to Montreal. And again, being there for the most of them, their first ever LAN event, they got to be a little bit out of their element. But you can see their cheery faces on Room Factory as they look prepared to take this match.
Honestly, jet lag is definitely a kind of thing that prevents a lot of teams from competing at their top level. But like you see on the players, they all kind of look, you know, handsome, kind of healthy players. They're waiting to get into the game. Hopefully the sound issue will be kind of fixed. But again, it's one of those things where coming from Russia, it's got to be kind of deterring as a player to fly all the way, have to practice, have to get ready, not have a whole lot of time to kind of, you know, get ready mentally because you're always moving, practicing. There's not a lot of setup for the match.
No, absolutely. And I mean, Room Factory, while they have a coach and they definitely seem like a pretty strong team, they're definitely one of the underdogs in this matchup, because I don't believe that they were boot camping for nearly as long as some of the other squads, and they definitely don't have nearly as much backing as someone like, for example, Evil Geniuses, Team Liquid, FaZe Clan. You know, these are the guys who are going to be in a very comfortable spot as a team because of the backing they have and the support behind them. I mean, you can't say enough about support staff in an organization in esports. It really does help you round you out a lot as a unit. But they've also got some unique synergy in the way that they play and their forms of communication. Of course, they do have Red Groove, who is not Russian, and while I believe speaks a little bit of Russian, you know, still has a little bit of trouble getting in on comms. And there's definitely a language barrier in that team. So, you know, while I think they have absolutely a chance to take this match, I mean, as much as we're seeing on the other stream going a little bit toe-and-toe, I do think that they're still going to have a little bit of struggles just because of that first LAN jitters. Seems like we've been talking about that for a while, though, as we are just waiting for Liquid and Room Factory to be ready. Those audio issues hopefully soon will be resolved. In the meantime, the very third map, which will be, I believe, Border. What do you think about that? What do you think we're going to see on Border? One of the more typical maps in the Rainbow Six Pro League, right alongside the other two we're seeing played, Oregon and Consulate. You think it's just going to be the Armory Workshop ventilation? You think we're going to see any variation, maybe a customs hold here and there?
I think, especially in LAN settings, especially for the Invitational, which is the biggest event of this year, teams are kind of going to prompt to come up with new things, new strategies. And like you were saying before about Coastline Concept always having kind of round bomb sites, you know, some are better than others, but everything is viable. I definitely think that Border and like the other two maps that are going to be played, it's one of those kind of everything is viable. I mean, the Armory.
Tellers is not. I mean, Tellers the bathroom.
It's not, but it's been done before. It's been done really before,
depends. But it's definitely one of those sites. You got to admit, it's one of those sites that, you know, you'll see it defended, and maybe it'll come off as a success one time, but it's not something you can rely on.
Exactly,
for
like
sure.
Oregon Kitchen or Oregon Tower, which we might even see in this series. It's not one of those things that is common, and it definitely isn't something that you want to, you know, always have as a backbone for a team. But if it's something that comes out mid-game, something that comes out in an intense situation like this, you know, a team might be kind of slipped up and give up a round, maybe even a map to some tricky plays like that. And that's why I love lands like this, because it encourages people to kind of put that extra step.
Absolutely. So, Armory defense is probably going to be obviously the main bomb site on border. We are going to see obviously some workshop and some ventilation. The big question for me is the customs hold. Will we see any customs? Because we did just see Penta versus Vitality, and neither team opted to go into the customs, which is odd considering Penta's the team that invented that strategy. I think in that case it's probably the situation, and you know, as much as this sounds like Penta a little bit lofty, but they probably didn't want to use this strat. They probably wanted to save it, definitely, if anything, waiting for the next match. So I think in this, it's definitely going to be a closer matchup, Room Factory versus Vitality. And you know, I still feel it's not Vitality, excuse me, Room Factory versus Team Liquid. I definitely think it's going to favor Team Liquid, but at the same time, it will likely be a closer match. So we're probably going to see more strategies actually employed here, despite it not being, you know, the end of the line for either team. You know, no matter who loses here, it is a best of 2 bracket. So, or not a best of 2 bracket, a second chance to bracket. You can obviously keep going if you need to. So either way, no matter who loses, they will have more opportunities moving forward. We are actually going to be going into the match, though, it looks like, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much again for waiting. It's going to be Consulate here on the first map of this best of 3 Room Factory, again, versus Team Liquid.
Now, again, coming into this next round, I'm assuming they're kind of going to have to be forced to pick the bomb site at basement since they kind of already picked it, but who knows? Similar lineup, you know, the Vigil, Mira, Mute. I definitely think, though, that they're going to be playing inside of the bathroom and using the Vigil, especially with the Mute that can combo. You know, stop drones, they're not exactly sure on where Vigil's going to be playing. So I think it's going to give them an advantage to have more roam potential. But again, if Room Factory, a team that has the strategic backing, can kind of take position and be aware of their surroundings, they'll be able to kind of break down the site as they approach the 2 bombs.
Absolutely. Now, Team Liquid again, defending that downstairs bomb site. They are going to be putting reinforcements actually into the bathroom, specifically on that drop down. Now, what that reinforced drop down means, for all of you who are maybe a little bit new to Consulate, is that Liquid will be unable to use that as a rotation, as the defenders do not contain the ability to open up a reinforced wall or drop down. So that means it's unlikely to see a roam game happen in the piano bathroom area from the defenders of Team Liquid. Instead, they're probably going to go all the way upstairs. As you can see, Sexy Cake doing just that. He's inside of the connector on the top floor. He's going to try and deny as much as possible when it comes to main lobby pushes, piano pushes, just using these holes that have been prepped in the floor by him and his teammates. Great setup here from Team Liquid. The question is, how will Room Factory address it?
And like we were talking about, how they don't have the typical setup for a basement take, but PWN is taking the Hibana, Red is on the Thermite. I'd assume that they would go for kind of a top-down approach like we were talking about, kind of get the hatches and use that to their advantage, but as their Ashe is already inside of the bathroom, like you said, the Vigil is kind of moving around. And as we're speaking, a quick engagement is going to come down. You know, a couple of chunks of health are going to be hit a little bit. Nesk getting away with, you know, a little over half. It's just kind of trying to draw the fear in their push right now.
Yeah, you can see clearly that neither of these teams want to commit too much to their attack nor the defense. Just trying to reserve all of their life force for the actual site push. Rightfully so from Team Liquid. That's why you should be roaming. But Room Factory, on the other hand, need to commit fully to these attacks. They need to commit fully to these 1v1s, and they need to get the kills to give them the advantage when they're actually pushing the site. They haven't cleared it all on the top floor, which means as they move their way into piano and bathroom, they're going to be caught off guard as Sexy Cake likely gets some kills from above. Meanwhile, we are going to have Bullet inside of Projector, the other roamer upstairs, eliminating Joystick from above.
And like you said, they're not really attacking or doing anything to the top floor, which gives Liquid a complete plethora of kind of mobility, and they're still not being contested. They can just shoot through the floor. They're completely reading Room Factory's kind of strat right now, as Sexy K is going to see Shockwave through the hatch. That's the Blackbeard down, so now they're not even going to have a point man to push. Sexy Kick is going to be still contesting, hitting Pwn down a little bit, and I don't know why they haven't responded, and already the whole round is kind of gone.
Yeah, basically Room Factory now stuck in the middle floor, out on their own, no backup coming, and they are in a tricky position. I believe they have some pressure going over towards the garage, and As Nest takes out Ponef, that pressure outside garage is the only pressure remaining from Room Factory in this 2 versus 5. I don't think it's likely they're going to be able to recover this round, but Ponef's certainly going to try as he pushes his way into yellow stairs. He's going to get the frag onto the yellow. That's Nesk down. An excellent kill. Red Groove gets one for himself onto Sexy Cake. That's put it into a much more even match, but with only 15 seconds left to go, C4 is going to miss from the defender as he attempts to deny the plant at the front of white. 8 seconds and from the yellow stairs, Valkyrie's going to take out one of the attackers. Oh no, he won't actually, just downing the Twitch. Red Groove going to get the refrag, and Yuke will finish off Red Groove as he attempts to go for the push, knowing that he cannot plant the diffuser at the front of white. A nice try there from Room Factory, almost recovering the round. But unfortunately for them, at the beginning of the round, they spent way too much time clearing out that middle floor. And more importantly, they didn't even try to clear out the room or the floor above them, which lended Team Liquid every option they could possibly dream for.
You know, they salvaged what they could, especially with 2 members only being up. They kind of, they gave a good run, Liquid a run for their money. But again, there was no time, there wasn't enough movement, they couldn't do much. And I'd hope that Room Factory going into the next rounds kind of realize now that, okay, Liquid's going to be playing aggressive, they're going to pick us off, and playing as they did like the last round, and they kind of play a little more strategically. And as Liquid kind of said, they played insanely well, just because they were able to kind of isolate players, especially with the holes through the floor like we were talking about, and they were able to kind of, you know, get some kills here and there. And I believe there is going to be a rehost here. Again, sorry for the technical difficulties.
It happens.
Yeah, it happens, you know, especially in a live LAN like this, you know, not everything can be perfect. We want to get to the game as eager as you guys do, so please be patient. We're going to get back to it as soon as possible.
Absolutely. So it will still be 1-0 in favor of Team Liquid. At least we've gotten to see that much action. And while it was a decisive round for Liquid, it almost seemed like a comeback for Room Factory when they made the push into the garage, which is counterintuitive, given that they did not have any smokes to aid them in that push. And it was a pretty daunting task to begin with in that 2v5 situation. They managed to still make it come down to a 1-on-2, or I believe a 1-on-3, whichever the case, much more than I was expecting. So we're going to throw to a 10-minute break. We'll be back just after that with the match. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Liquid versus Room Factory. We have seen one of these rounds so far played out on one of these maps. It was Liquid who managed to take it on the defense of the basement of Consulate, a site that we weren't expecting to be the most defended, nor the most successful for either team. But they managed to come out early swinging with an unexpected site pick, and they definitely caught Room Factory off guard, allowing them to snag that win.
Liquid definitely kind of picked them apart. And so hopefully getting back into this game, we're going to be able to see. And as we're saying this, we're going to be getting back into the match. It's going to be 1-0 for Liquid, and it's Room Factory's kind of pick to go where they want to go. And, you know, I'm not expecting too much, maybe a couple of kind of
maybe some
plays.
upset strats from both teams. I mean, we did see Liquid do something a little bit different, just like we talked about. We are going to be loading into the map. Thank you again for waiting, everybody. It's going to be, seems a top 4 defense here from Room Factory. And they're not going to go the way of Team Liquid, rightfully so. As you can see, Team Liquid have brought a Ying. However, actually, as I say that, they haven't brought a Thermite. So if Room Factory had opted to go downstairs, they might have actually been able to do just the same that Liquid did to them and catch them off guard with a bomb site they weren't expecting.
And also, Liquid brought a Dokkaebi, which hasn't seen a whole lot of play. She has so much potential. In my opinion, I think she's a great operator. She can be used really well, especially with pushes like Ying, especially with kind of IQ, who's able to see through the wall as soon as the phone's called. But I don't know. Hopefully during a push, I'm assuming Sexy Cake will be able to call the phones as a push is going through. And I wouldn't, if as a team like Room Factory, I wouldn't be expecting this. They do have the Legion though. They can put the traps all over, you know, jump spots or repel window spots, regular spots. So I'm hoping that they're kind of ready for a aggressive play, which it looks like Liquid's going to make.
I mean, Liquid, you know, fabled for their aggression. You know, the sort of team that is going to want to go and take the fights as much as they can. In the early minute of this round, have instead spent the time droning and just looking for their opportunity, their way in. And it looks like they found it inside of admin office as Nesk and his teammate drone out this room. And notice that it is completely empty. The only thing they're going to have to deal with is Panef, who is downstairs inside of the server stack. He can use that RP detector to catch people all the way on the top floor if he positions himself just right. So he can call out when that push comes into admin for his team, and if he moves into Visa and there's no one from the attack covering Visa, he can even get a couple kills with the C4 from below.
I can already tell that this strat Room Factory is pulling out is going to be super heavy towards blocking the admin push. They have the ACOG that they're going to try and stuff into bathroom, hold an angle that's going to completely counter the Nest Cabana hole that he's trying to open right now. He's not going to open it, but you know it's pretty much the same purpose that Red's going to be able to look through bathroom all the way into projector room and hold an angle on the door, supporting his teammate and connector. It's going to be a kind of, they're going to give the bomb site and hopefully retake or get a pick as they try aggressing into the site.
which is a little bit of an older strategy for Consulate, but it seems like it might work out for them, especially considering Team Liquid's got a disruption set up here. As you can see, the Dokkaebi and Yuka on the Ying. That's definitely going to give a lot of visual disruption for Room Factory. But here's the thing. We're down to the last minute now, and we haven't seen a single engagement from either of these teams, and obviously that favors the defense. So Liquid needs to step it into overdrive and start making this match actually happen in either team's favor. It just needs to start playing out for the attack.
Liquid is definitely kind of making some holes and adjustments on yellow. I wonder if they're going to have maybe a late flank, but time is dwindling down. They don't have much to do. They have to push in. And as I say that, Yuke is going to get a pick onto Shepard. 5v4, 30 seconds. They're running in, but again, like I said, the play from Red is going to get the kill as Nesk is going to trade out against Joystick. Ying is going to be pushing through the site, but he is going to miss Red, who's going to be in the main hall. He doesn't see him, and Shockwave is going to trade him out as Yuke gets taken down. 3v3, he pushes into the site, but gets eliminated by Bullet as they're safe in sight. Nobody's contesting them yet, but a shot through the smoke is Red.
What?
Down.
What?
And gets the kill onto Sexy Kick as Nesk is the last one alive with not enough time, coming up the spiral stairs, and PWN is there to take the kill, and that is a round for Room Factory.
Is Red Groove cheating?
I don't know. That was
what an
really
insane
good
shot from Red Groove through the smoke.
Yeah.
A flick headshot, eliminating the hold for the diffuse planter, and then also securing the kill onto the person planting the diffuser. A couple of mistakes there by Liquid, but what an insane shot from Red Groove and an amazing take from Room Factory, putting them on the board, and I think instilling a lot of confidence in not only myself, I'm sure you and many of our viewers.
Yeah, that was definitely a beautiful play. Something that kind of shocked both of us was Yuke running through. I don't know if you didn't see Red. Fortunately, his teammate was there to help him out, and thank God for that, because Red got those beautiful kills. That was insane, but score is going to be tied up 1-1 as Liquid is going to be on defense holding the mid bomb floor.
Middle bomb floor from Liquid, like you said, so no top floor hold yet from Team Liquid. They went with basement and now middle floor. That's counter to what I was expecting given the current state of the meta, but we also haven't seen a lot of what we were expecting of the meta going into this tournament. In scrims, it's been Ying and Glaz and some Blitz scattered in here there, and we haven't seen any Glass. Not any at all, from my understanding, at least on this channel. And I don't expect to see any anytime soon either. And he seems to be outside of the favor for most of these teams, at least the 4 we've seen so far. Which is, I think, to me, it's surprising. I mean, it does go to say, or does go to show really that scrims are not exactly telling of the